First and 15 after the penalty. They wiped away a 20-yard pickup. Adams.
Aaron Donald, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, Nick Foles, and Randall Cobb were among the notable NFLers that retired from football during the 2024 offseason. If several fading big-named NFL players accept reality, then, well, they're also going to be hanging it up after this year. So with that, how about we dive into a list of 10 NFL stars who could and probably should retire after this season.
Out of the red zone once again.
Elliott's going to be in the end zone. Touchdown, Dallas.
Aaron Rodgers. After missing all but a few plays in his first season with the New York Jets, the four-time MVP returned to full strength and brought new hope to Gotham. But the long-awaited Rodgers era in New York has been nothing short of a disaster. Firing head coach Robert Saleh after 5 games, Rodgers throwing a game-sealing interception against Minnesota because his receiver ran the wrong route, Greg Zerlane missing game-winning kicks, and losing to those hapless Patriots. Yeesh, an even bigger failure than that Ben Affleck Henry Cavill Batman vs. Superman movie. Desperate in-season trade for Las Vegas Raiders superstar wide receiver Devontae Adams, Rodgers' old pal in Green Bay, did absolutely nothing to jumpstart this offense either. So much for bringing in all those former Packers to restore a winning culture, huh? Rodgers has the best TD/INT ratio in NFL history by a healthy margin, and yet he's turning the ball over at an alarmingly high rate. And you can also just tell by his body language that Rodgers really just isn't enjoying himself anymore. His heart and mind certainly aren't into football the way they are into things like darkness retreats and spreading baseless conspiracy theories. It's sad that Rodgers' career is ending on a very woeful Jets team that can't seem to erase that circus label. He can do the right thing and just retire while he's ahead. Or he can pull a Brett Favre and damage his legacy by not knowing when it's time to quit. Deshaun Watson. Highly paid quarterbacks hardly retire before their 30th birthdays. But Deshaun Watson's once special career has really spiraled out of control a la Antonio Brown. I think he's better off just quitting now rather than putting himself at further scrutiny. And of course, even more physical pain. Watson's career ended once a concerning amount of legal issues began to pile up. If you want to overlook that and focus purely on football, which the Browns obviously did, well, it's not really looking any better. And I think it's time for him to retire. Watson has essentially been the worst starting quarterback in football since he started playing for the Browns in 2022. You can't blame the coaches or supporting cast. Joe Flacco lit it up in his short stint with the Browns last year and got them into the postseason en route to comeback player of the year honors. And Jacoby Brissett and Jameis Winston, for crying out loud, managed this offense way better than Watson ever has. A season-ending shoulder injury in 2023 followed by a season-ending Achilles tear in 2024. Yeah, and that's to say nothing of a torn ACL Watson suffered as a rookie with the Houston Texans back in 2017. Watson's confidence has to be at an all-time low now. His body is absolutely beat up for a guy who hasn't turned 30 yet. The Browns fan base can't wait to get rid of him, and no other team is going to dare take a chance on Watson once Cleveland gets out of his contract. So, yeah. Watson better just retire and stay away from football altogether. Ezekiel Elliott. There was a time where Zeke looked like he was on a career to the Hall of Fame. He won 2 rushing titles over his first 3 seasons, including in his 2016 rookie year, and helped the Dallas Cowboys to 2 NFC East Division titles in that period. And if he didn't miss time in the 2017 and 2020 seasons, Elliott would have recorded 6 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons to begin his career. Oh yeah, Hall of Fame caliber indeed. But Elliott's career has quickly gone downhill, which is unfortunately the case for a lot of big-named RBs these days. He was outplayed by Tony Pollard in 2022, lost his RB1 duties, and released in a cap-saving move. Elliott fared no better in his 1-year stint with the New England Patriots, averaging a career-low 3.1 yards per carry. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys made a mind-boggling decision to bring him back in 2024 free agency, and unlike a box of chocolates, Dallas knew exactly what they were getting with the 29-year-old Elliott. Elliott is barely averaging over 3 yards a carry in his second stint with Big D. Oh, and he was benched for the Week 9 game against the Atlanta Falcons for missing several team meetings. Did we mention that the Cowboys are just horrible this year? Elliott can pull an Adrian Peterson and just stick around hoping for the odd opportunity to pop up, or he could make the right decision like Todd Gurley, except that his career is over and just walk away at the appropriate time. Jordan Poyer. After uneventful stints with the Philadelphia Eagles and Cleveland Browns, Poyer began to make a name for himself when he joined the Buffalo Bills in 2017. Poyer and Micah Hyde formed one of football's best safety duos during their run together in Orchard Park. Poyer helped a long-struggling Buffalo franchise to 6 playoff appearances over his 7 years with them, including 4 AFC East Division crowns and a trip to the 2020 AFC title game. But the Bills made the right call to release Poyer in a cap-saving move after the 2023 season. He had a special place in the hearts of Bills Nation, but Sean McDermott and company knew that Poyer was in the twilight of his career. Unfortunately for Poyer, his 2024 performance with the Miami Dolphins all but shows that he's kind of done in the NFL, and that it's probably just time to retire. According to Pro Football Reference, Poyer is allowing a completion percentage of nearly 70 when targeted, and for the second straight year, opposing QBs have a passer rating of over 100 when targeting him. Poyer's inconsistent man-to-man coverage was semi-made up for with his strong run defense and ball hawking skills, but he's no longer producing in those departments, and his performance in coverage is truly atrocious now. Poyer has clearly lost several steps and is no longer capable of keeping up with the younger, faster, and more athletic guys. Think it's time to retire, young lad. Delvin Cook. It's hard not to feel sorry for Delvin Cook. If the Minnesota Vikings had never released him, he still might be one of the more productive running backs in the league. Cook's first 2 NFL seasons were hampered by injuries, but from 2019 to 2022, he recorded the 3rd most rushing yards at 5,024, behind only Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. And only Henry rushed for more TDs in that period than Cook, who had 43. Cook was still a Pro Bowl talent when the Vikings released him in 2022, which was strictly a cap-saving move. He rushed for 1,173 yards and 8 touchdowns, helping Minnesota to 13 wins and a rare NFC North Division crown. Sadly, that was basically it for Cook once the Vikings released him. He had a disastrous stint on the super team wannabe Jets last year, rushing for just 214 yards and no touchdowns before getting waived. Cook finally landed a contract with the Cowboys at the end of August, and even in the Cowboys' terrible backfield, he has hardly seen any snaps. That's just how bad it's gotten. He can't even get carries over Zeke and Rico Dowdle. Like Elliott, Cook is well past his prime with his 30th birthday fast approaching. He might not be ready to retire quite yet, but that doesn't mean that he shouldn't. Cook would be lucky to find a 3rd-stringer job on an NFL roster next year at this point. Brandon Graham. The Philadelphia Eagles lost 2 key members of their Super Bowl 52 championship team, Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox, with both of them retiring in the offseason. If Graham plays his cards right, he'll follow his former mates into retirement. Graham returned to the Eagles on a 1-year pact in 2023 and in 2024 free agency. But like last year, the former Pro Bowler and Super Bowl 52 hero has been used in a rotational role and is playing less than half of their defensive snaps. The Eagles have done a masterful job reshaping their front 7 for the post-Graham and Cox days, led by Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Nakobe Dean. With all due respect, they just don't need Graham anymore. So it only feels right if Graham finishes his career right where it started, here in Philadelphia with the Eagles. Stephon Gilmore. In a day where so many all-pro defensive backs seem to hit the before 30 wall, Stephon Gilmore has defied science and played at a quality level well into his mid-30s. Respect. Gilmore was still a very good cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts and Dallas Cowboys in 2022 and 2023 respectively, but I think age has finally caught up to the 5-time Pro Bowler who has shown that there really isn't much left in his 34-year-old body. The 2019 Defensive Player of the Year is allowing nearly 2/3 of pass attempts in his direction to be completed, while yielding a passer rating when targeted of over 90. That's not average level cornerback play, that's being a giant liability. Minnesota's defense has been a pleasant surprise under Brian Flores, but Gilmore is not one of the key reasons as to why. His leadership and experience means that Gilmore is going to attract some interest in free agency, but Gilmore's best bet is just to walk away after the season ends. Tyron Smith. The longtime Dallas Cowboys star offensive tackle will go into Canton in his first year of eligibility. But oh boy, has he ever gone from hero to zero. Smith was still among football's premier offensive tackles a year ago, but his first season with the Jets has been, disappointing. Through the Jets' first 9 games alone, he's allowed 5 sacks and committed 6 penalties. So much for beefing up that offensive line for Aaron Rodgers. Smith is going to be 34 years of age next year, and I don't think any actual Super Bowl contender is going to want a past his prime veteran to be their starting tackle. The perennial Pro Bowler has had a remarkable run in the NFL, but this right here feels like the right year for him to just bid farewell. Joe Flacco. The longtime Baltimore Ravens quarterback and Super Bowl 47 MVP was close to officially calling it quits last year. Then the QB-needy Browns gave Flacco a call and brought him in, obviously not believing that he was about to have a comeback Player of the Year campaign. But the Browns knew that the production wasn't sustainable, so Flacco was allowed to leave for free agency. He wound up signing with the Indianapolis Colts to back up the injury-prone Anthony Richardson, probably knowing that it was only a matter of time until he got to start again. Well, Flacco has come back down to earth and looks like a journeyman 39-year-old QB alright. He hasn't given his offense the jolt it lacked under Richardson, and it's clear that last year's run with the Browns was a brief flash in the pan. With millions in the bank and a championship ring to cherish forever, Flacco has nothing else to produce. So please, join us in suggesting that he just calls it quits. Odell Beckham Jr. Hard as it is to believe, Beckham's last 1,000-yard season came all the way back in 2019. Yeah, he has been decimated by injuries ever since, and it just feels like OBJ is just better off calling it quits rather than putting his body through any more unnecessary pain. Remember, Beckham suffered a season-ending ACL tear in the midst of the 2020 season. He got healthy and looked like a star after joining the Los Angeles Rams in 2021, but sadly suffered another ACL tear in their Super Bowl 56 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. Beckham didn't play at all in 2022. He signed with the Baltimore Ravens in 2023, but had a mess season with 35 catches for 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. OBJ then landed a deal with the Miami Dolphins in 2024 free agency, but missed the first 4 games due to injury. So, not only is he just always injured, but Beckham isn't even an impact player anymore. If there was ever a clear-as-day sign for a former NFL star wide receiver to retire, this is it. But which other NFL stars should call it quits after the season? Do you think any of these stars should keep on playing? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton, and you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.